New revelations by the January 6th committee that they have first-hand testimony about former President Trump's actions and communications on the day of the attack. Really, more likely his inaction on the day of the attack. Joining us now is Bob Woodward, associate editor of the Washington Post. He traced Trump's actions that day in his book Peril, along with Robert Costa. This first-hand testimony the committee now has, which is sworn in, we presume, under oath, Bob. What's the significance of having that?
Very, very significant. Keith Kellogg, the retired lieutenant general, is somebody who actually is a Trump loyalist, also an institutionalist. He used to say within the White House that Trump and Pence, the vice president, were fire and ice. You can guess who was fire, Trump, and Pence was ice. And Kellogg, as we found from multiple firsthand witnesses, was with Trump on January 6th, in the office with Trump and begging Trump to tweet out to stop the violence. And he said, memorably, he said, Mr. President, not everyone is carrying a television on their shoulder. Please go out and tweet. And this is a mob, and when you have a mob, you have lost it. Trump would not respond, and so Kellogg went to find Ivanka Trump, Trump's daughter, and she went to see Trump, her father, in the Oval Office and the dining room there 3 times. We had from multiple witnesses, and one of the things she said to President Trump is, let this thing go. And eventually he did tweet, but it was delayed. So in a sense, from the point of view of an investigation, having somebody like Keith Kellogg there, who was a participant, who is now under oath, you couldn't get a better witness. It's somebody that Republicans would have to look at and say, wait a minute, this is a credible, strong person, somebody who served in the military for decades.
Do you think that other Trump loyalists, Bob, may look at this, may look at Keith Kellogg, who, by the way, confirmed to CNN that he testified under oath, that they'll look at this testimony and they might be swayed to participate as well?
Well, I think there's almost an avalanche of movement where people want to not necessarily cooperate and support the committee, but they want to protect themselves. And any lawyer will tell somebody in that position, if you don't have some sort of involvement that's criminal or something that you want to conceal, the best course of action is to go ahead. Interestingly enough, after January 6th, Keith Kellogg went to Ivanka Trump and her husband, Jared Kushner, and said, let's bring things together. Let's smooth this over, and proposed that Trump give the Presidential Medal of Freedom to Pence, his vice president. Wouldn't be hard. Of course, Ivanka and Jared said, well, we'll wait on that. That's not going to work at this point. So, big movement.
Hey, Bob, a lot of what we're hearing from the committee now seems to be laying the groundwork for what will ultimately be the public hearings here. What do you think the story is that the committee will ultimately tell to the country, and what will the significance of that be?
Well, obviously, if they have witnesses, if they have documents, do they have some sort of tape recordings? Of course, Watergate was broken with Nixon's secret taping system. What that revealed, we haven't seen something like that. I still think there's a big looming question. Maybe the committee has answered that. Maybe reporters have. I know it's being worked on. Who was the operational commander of what happened on January 6th? It just didn't come out of thin air. It didn't come out of the little pieces that we know. Somebody had to get 1,000 people to do the same thing at the same time. That's extraordinary. So much to be done, but the aggressive and comprehensive stance this committee has taken is the soundest course any investigation can pursue.
A lot of people, a lot of Americans, Bob, have their minds made up about what happened on January 6th and who is to blame. What do you see this committee needing to do in order to communicate its findings and maybe even get through to some people?
Well, it's hard these days to take the partisan tinge out of anything. They have a chance, as has been pointed out by Liz Cheney, the Republican. It is a bipartisan committee, and things like this rest on evidence, not on politics. And I think historically we find in this country, and this goes back 50 years to Watergate, once the tapes were released and it was clear to Republicans what Nixon had done, they abandoned him and turned on him, and Nixon resigned. I'm not saying, as we know, Trump's not in office. Big question. What is the political course he has chosen? If he has chosen one, will his committee's work have any impact? What's great about this country is that we can have the reporting, we can have this committee operating, we can have Trump having his say, his supporters having their say, and we're going to see. And you had a doctor on talking about the virus, I thought made an excellent point. Get out of the prediction game.
Get out of the prediction game. Bob, thank you so much. Of course, we'll be keeping our eyes open to see
Thank you.
what is going on so that we can get out of the prediction game here. Just to